Attorney General Letitia James made good on her campaign promise back in 2018 to charge Trump when she announced that the state was filing a suit against the former president. Let's bring in Congressman Jim Jordan to weigh in on some of this stuff. Congressman, really, really good to have you. Important day. It strikes me 48 days to an election. Letitia James won her election last time, promising to go after the Trump family and Donald Trump, and she did just that. And maybe this has something to do with the timing on this.
Well, of course it does. And again, in America, you're not supposed to go investigate people. You investigate crime. I think there's no irony, I think, here that the same day this happens, Eric, we learn in Texas that sheriff says he's going to investigate Governor DeSantis for sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard. And he was asked, what's the crime? He said, well, I don't know what crime there was. I can't cite that. We're just going to invest. The same dynamic is playing out here in New York. They're going after President Trump and his family because that's what Democrats do. And they do it because he has disrupted the swamp and the folks here in D.C. who think they run the country and given power back to we the people. That's why they go after him. They're never going to stop. But I think he's gonna run again, and boy, I hope he's elected president in 2024. You know,
I wonder if these witch hunts and this constant going after the guy might actually help him. The attacks, the constant, the raid on his private home, yep. Questionable raid on his private home, and as you point out, they start with the crime. And then he backtracked looking for evidence. That Democrat sheriff in Texas, by the way, Democrat sheriff, you're right. Yep. He literally said, I don't know what the crime is, but it just wasn't right. Well, you can't go and try and, indict a governor or a former president based on it just isn't right.
But he's watched the Democrats over the last 6-7 years do that to President Trump. He's a Democrat sheriff. He said, I'm going to do the same thing to Governor. This is how the left operates. Never forget, Eric, in the past 6 weeks, think about what we have seen from Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden has raided the home of a former president, taken the phone of a sitting member of Congress, called half the country fascist and extremists, said that, oh, just remember this, too. I signed legislation to unleash 87,000 IRS agents on you, the American taxpayer. I mean, that all happened in 6 weeks. These people have done things we never thought we would see in the country, not to mention the overall political nature of the Justice Department now that we're hearing from FBI agents who come to us as whistleblowers. It's frightening, but their target has always been President Trump. And he has a great line, Eric, at these rallies. I was at one Saturday night in Ohio. He says, they come after me because I'm fighting for you. And that's the truth. He's standing up for us, and that's why the left comes after him so hard.
Yeah, he was a disruptor. He was out of the norm. He wasn't in the box, the regular Republican. You know, Republicans, Democrats took turns with power in D.C. He came in and said, no, I'm not one of either one of you. And neither sides can seem to really grasp that. Let's stay on Letitia James for a second. You know, she's going after the Trump family. You know, it's not like New York is a safe place. It's not like New York is getting better. But meanwhile, the Attorney General of New York, who's the top lawmaker in the state of New York, has a city and a state that's crime-ridden and getting worse. And Alvin Bragg, a prosecutor who lets people out after hours after they attack, I don't know, innocent people in McDonald's. Where's the justice? How do you square that circle?
No, it's a great point. I mean, the old principle of opportunity cost. When you're spending all your time as the top law enforcement officer in the state of New York going after your political opponents, there's an opportunity loss, an opportunity cost, and that is primarily the fact that you're not going after the real crime that's happening every single day in New York City and other cities around our great country, and in that situation in the state of New York. So, yeah, I think it's going to backfire on them, though. I think it's going to help Lee Zeldin be the next governor of New York, a good man who's a colleague of ours, who's a conservative, the kind of guy you want leading your state. I think it's going to help Lee Zeldin win the governor's race in New York State.
That'd be good. And, you know, when this first started, it looked like a tall order for a Republican Lee Zeldin, congressman, to win a governorship in the state of New York. But, you know, with the crime that's going on in New York City, you can flip 3 to 5% of New York, 3 to 5% of New York. He's got a decent chance to do that. But again, Letitia James, she ran on, I'm going to get Trump. We've seen the sound bites all day about I'm going to get him. She became Attorney General. Here's what got us today. Let's play the sound bite with the punishments that Letitia James is planning, already talking about giving the Trump family members. Take a listen to this. Punishments.
Permanently bar Mr. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, from serving as an officer or director in any corporation or similar entity registered and or licensed in New York. To bar Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization from entering into any New York State commercial real estate acquisition or from applying for loans from any financial institution in New York for 5 years.
So, Congressman, before she was even AG, she had Trump guilty of a crime. She gets there. Now she's punishing them before there's even a trial or a hearing. This is a clear witch hunt.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. I think the American people see it for what it is. I mean, in essence, what she said there, she just wants to put them out of business. You can't operate in business anymore. That's just, I mean, it makes no sense. I think just, again, underscores just how obsessed they've become with going after President Trump. Again, remember, they've been doing it for 7 years. This started in 2016 when the FBI decided to spy on President Trump's campaign, all built on a lie. So I guess it makes sense that they're just going to keep doing it because that's all they know. But the country sees it for the witch hunt that it is. And as I said before, I think it backfires. I think it helps President Trump long term. It's no fun going through. I get that. I think it helps him long term. And I think in the short term, in 48 days, it's going to help Lee Zeldin.
You know, the way I read it and saw it and watched it live, it looked like Letitia James was bringing a civil lawsuit because she said she's going to go after $250 or $270 million of Trump. That's civil. And when it's money, it's a civil. When it's criminal, they go after things like jail time. She sounds like she's conflating a civil lawsuit with a criminal lawsuit. Yeah,
it could be. I haven't looked at it. All I've got is the media reports on it. I mean, who knows? We know that their quest to get President Trump really has no limit. So we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, I want to pivot a little bit to Russia. What's going on in Russia? It's got to scare the bejesus out of you in Congress because it certainly sounds scary this morning when I hear Vladimir Putin is telling airlines not to book tickets for any males between the age of 16 and 65 years old. We've heard that he's mobilizing 300,000 Russian troops. And then that warning, he said he actually mentioned nuclear, almost a nuclear option if the West doesn't stop supporting Ukraine. Your thoughts?
Well, let's hope none of that's true. Let's hope that's not really what he's doing. I mean, we all know that this is a dangerous situation. Let's pray. Let's hope that he is not considering nuclear weapons, for goodness sake. That is frightening. And then let's continue to speak out and project strength. You know, we talked about this several months back when this first happened. I do think one of the underlying concerns here is I don't see strength projected from the Oval Office like it was under President Trump, like it was with Secretary of State Pompeo. And I think that's a concern. I really do. And I think that's contributing to the situation. There was a great question asked of Mike Pompeo when Russia first went into Ukraine. They asked him, would this have happened under President Trump? And I thought the former secretary gave a great answer. He said, well, the short answer is I don't know. But I do know this. It didn't happen under President Trump's leadership. Yeah. And I think that says it all. And that's the real concern I see here is the weakness projected from the Oval Office. Let's hope that changes for the good of the country and for the good of the world.
You know, and final thought on this, you know, exactly what you said. It didn't happen under Trump, or Pompeo said it didn't happen under Trump. It also happened to happen after a horrendous pullout of Afghanistan, an embarrassing pullout of Afghanistan. And I just look, and you know, I listened to Biden today at the UN, and he mentioned Russia doing what they're doing. He mentioned China. Now, China threatened us this week, literally said no option is off the table if you get involved in Taiwan. And he also mentioned North Korea and also Iran. And I'm thinking, is this just the tip of the iceberg of what America is going to be dealing with going forward when these people see the weakness in the White House? Maybe they're each going to take their shot at us.
Boy, I hope not. Let's hope and pray that that's not what happens. But I do think you made a great point. The weakness projected, and then the example that was set with the exit, you know, the debacle that was the exit from Afghanistan. I think that sent a terrible message, and I think the country understands that too, and I think that will factor in to their decision here in 48 days in the midterm elections.
All right, Congressman, really good having you on. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Eric. Take care.